Good day and welcome to this week's episode of your favorite program, Infrastructure Weekly. I am your host, Abosati Omowi. On today's episode of the program, we will be taking you around project sites across the country, from road to housing and power sector. We will be taking you around the strides of the Buhari administration in bridging the nation's infrastructure deficit. Join us after this break for more on the program.
Coming together of opportunity. This is what
infrastructure is the backbone of development, which explains the Buhari government's effort at bridging the facility gap. Infrastructure Weekly is a television package designed to bring you latest information on hundreds of development projects going on in various sectors all over the nation.
There is no state in Nigeria today where you will not see our contractors busy at work.
Power generation, rural electrification, road rehabilitations, national housing scheme, construction of roads and rail lines across the country, you name it.
We are now able to produce 7,000 megawatt of power. That is no longer debatable.
Infrastructure Weekly is Nigerians working together for a better Nigeria. So be better informed to take better informed decisions. Watch Infrastructure Weekly, showing on Channels Television Thursdays 2:30 p.m., NTA Network Wednesdays 5 p.m., and Core TV News Fridays at 8 p.m. Infrastructure Weekly, making development known.
We take off from the road sector with a promise by the federal government to agrarian communities all over the country of its commitment to ensuring they get better infrastructure, especially roads, to ensure that they evacuate farm produce quickly and efficiently to minimize waste and enhance their earnings. The federal government spoke through the Minister of Information, Culture and Tourism, Lai Mohammed, in Oro, Kwara State, where the Federal Ministry of Power, Works and Housing is currently rehabilitating the township roads.
The project is a dividend of democracy to the people of Oro and an attestation to President Muhammadu Buhari's commitment to infrastructural development and better life for Nigerians. Minister of Information, Culture and Tourism, Lai Mohammed, flagging off the rehabilitation of the township roads in Oro, Kwara State, says the project is a demonstration of the sincerity of the present administration's capacity in matching words with action. He further appeals to the people of the community, particularly the youths, to support the contractor to deliver the project on time.
Flag of iṣẹ́ township road nígbà tí wọ́n ní pé wọ́n award contract ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ní irọ́ ni a dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ Ọlọ́run pé ojú ìní bá wa láyé a wá pe project manager kó ṣàlàyé fún yín iṣẹ́ náà bó ṣe tó iye tí ìjọba àwọ́dì rẹ̀ fún wọn ibi tó máa gbà àti pé ọjọ́ mélòó oṣù mélòó ló máa gbà.
The project manager, Niyi Afolabi, explains that the scope of work for the project will involve construction of drainages, bridges, and asphalting of the roads.
United Junction bí báyìí junction òkè yẹn roundabout báyìí ẹ jẹ́ ká gbọ́rọ̀ àwọn ibi tó bàjẹ́ ní local mansion àṣe bridge síbẹ̀ a lọ sí Adébóyè àṣe ìyẹn náà débi tí ọ̀nà ò lè dé mọ́ gbogbo àwọn ibi tí ọ̀rọ̀ bẹ̀rẹ̀ ní ká ṣe bẹ̀rẹ̀ náà so ká dẹ̀ sí bridge ńlá sí lójú odò yẹn níbi ọ̀parun yẹn ká sí bridge ńlá tó tóbi dáadáa síbẹ̀ ẹ̀nà tún ní ká wá sí the first junction the first corner bí ní ìrántí orúkọ bẹ̀rẹ̀ ní the first after this wọ́n ní ká tún sẹ́yìn náà the junction lọ́hùn ká dá ọ̀dà ẹ̀ ká dẹ̀ sí gbogbo tí bridge báwọn ká fi bridge sí bill wa àti ní bill àti ní drawing àti ní everything to work and we are set to start today we are ready to start now. I'm a demonstrate our equipment already at the very then I want fún wa ní wọ́n ní ó pẹ́ jù wọ́n ní a gbọ́dọ̀ sí ní oṣù mẹ́fà àwa sọ pé àní sí lóṣù mẹ́fà ká tó rí oṣù mẹ́ta gan-an tí máa rí ká tó bá ṣe dùn.
The Ashanlu of Oro, Chief Simon Olayemi, speaking on behalf of the community, expresses appreciation to the federal government for the project and to the minister for facilitating it.
President ní kí pé ẹ kú gbogbo ọ̀rọ̀ ìlú àti gbogbo ètò tẹ́ ń ṣe. Àwọn kan ò bá wà nílé ní, but unfortunately information ẹ̀ dé lately. So àwọn ní ká take clearance ká mọ ibo àti ibo ní àwọn ọ̀nà yẹn máa dé. Because a kàn ń rí lórí paper àmọ́ ibi tó but a máa fẹ́ rí physically.
Kí tó rí physical ẹjọ́ a máa dé junction.
Mi ìdíyàn àjọ tẹ̀lé yín láti òkè náà.
Ẹ rí bọ́ọ̀dù yẹn, ẹ rí gbogbo information
ẹ̀ tó wà lórí. A tẹ̀lé yín láti bẹ̀rẹ̀ láti bí iṣẹ́ tá a gbà lé nínú yẹn kò ṣe problem.
The minister also took time to stop by to exchange pleasantries with some elders of the benefiting communities who expressed gratitude for the federal government's gesture.
Àwọn ọmọ aláyà ń kú ọ̀dẹ bàrúfẹ́ ní ọ̀dẹ sàfihàn àbà ọdún bàbá tí wọn kú ọtọ́ bá dọ́dẹ ẹ̀sùn ọmọ òkú tututu ni. láìwọlé o ọmọ èsì wo láìwọlé o ọmọ èsì wo ní sọmọra máa ń gé èsì gbólóhùn ọmọ akọrin ọmọ èsì wo ara sọmọra láìwọlé o máa dá gọjọgọjọ ẹni tó bá ní kó o mọ̀ bọ̀ nílò nílé rẹ̀ wèé ká bàbá tó bí ẹbí òní.
The project covers the rehabilitation of the Eid Praying Ground, T Junction up to Lukmanshon Junction, and the construction of Adeboye Avenue Road. And it is expected that upon completion, it will help ease vehicular movement in the communities in Oro.
The federal government has again scaled up its investment in the nation's infrastructure with the award of more contracts for the rehabilitation and construction of new roads in some parts of the country. Minister of State 1 for Power Works and Housing, Mustafa Babashiori, disclosed this while speaking after the Federal Executive Council meeting in Abuja. He added that the federal government will continue to invest in infrastructure to continue to power the nation's return to the path of sustainable economic development.
Three of the memos is for road construction, augmentation, and bridge. Then one is for installation of a solar facility in the power ministry. One of the road is Abuja Abaji Lokoja Road Section 1, which started at the airport here in Abuja, going through Gwagwalada up to Shede village, and it was first awarded in the year 2006. When it was awarded at the cost of 11 billion. Then in 2011, it was reviewed to 28 billion. And now this is an augmentation for another 1.09 billion for the completion of the road project. The augmentation became necessary because of changes in the cost of prices, including labor. The cost of price of, say, cement by 2011 has changed with what is obtainable now.
If you are just joining us, the program is Infrastructure Weekly, where we x-ray the strides of the Buhari administration in the area of infrastructure development. You can get in touch with us for comments, inquiries and feedback on Facebook at facebook.com/Infrastructure Weekly and on Twitter at Infra_Weekly. We will be back after this break. Stay tuned.
London, New York or Lagos, business or holiday, home or office. You can now carry out your tax transactions from anywhere in the world. You can now file all your tax returns, pay online, get a receipt and even process your tax clearance certificate from anywhere in the world online and in real time. All you need to do is log on to www.firs.gov.ng and click on e-services and be introduced to the world of innovation, convenience and transparency from the FIRS. You can also pay stamp duty as you register a new company with the CAC or for other transactions that require stamp duty payment online. You can also file your withholding tax returns and determine the withholding tax deducted from you is in government coffers so that you can get your receipt within 45 days as long as the deduction has been remitted. Yes, all of this and more online at www.firs.gov.ng/e-services. FIRS, making tax administration as easy as ABC. Please note that all FIRS services are free of charge. This message is from the Federal Inland Revenue Service. It pays to pay your tax.
Thanks so much for staying with us. Now to the housing sector. The National Housing Program has continued apace with the site in Adamawa State now at 90% completion. The site, according to officials of the Power Works and Housing Ministry, will help in alleviating the sufferings of residents of the state who currently cope with paying the highest rent after those in Abuja in the whole of the north. The coming of the houses, which is in its first phase, will help reduce the stress associated with renting houses in Adamawa State.
Welcome to Yola, the Adamawa State capital, where rented apartments are arguably the most expensive in the north, with the exception of Abuja, the federal capital. A two-bedroom apartment cost about 300,000, a situation described by many residents as worrisome. Enter the National Housing Program, which, according to officials, will cushion this effect and reduce the housing deficit. The program, according to officials on site, will also alleviate the hard track residents go through in searching for or paying exorbitant house rent.
The essence of this project is to address the housing deficit we are experiencing nationwide. So the federal government has decided to embark upon this to increase the housing stock for Nigerians. As you can see, we have reached here almost 90%. And apart from the infrastructure that is starting, most of the houses are almost completed. And we are at the process of working out the guideline of giving the allocations.
The project manager and site electrical engineer are optimistic they'll be able to finish the project within the stipulated time with continued funding.
What we are trying to do is that to see and make sure we finish it before the deadline. What we have about almost 65 to 70% of physical work done here. The one you are seeing now is already being cast with the reinforced. We are only waiting to bring in lateral and sharp sand with our granite.
Expecting to finish the work when we are remobilized because we have only one payment. So we work on it and we have our materials on site. It's only the challenges of funding. So we are still waiting the government to comply and observe our work, value it and pay us the next payment so that we can proceed.
There are fears that the houses will be given to politicians who will later rent it out to the public at a high rate. But the task force leader and state comptroller housing said the ministry is working to ensure the houses are accessible to all.
Guidelines are being worked out and it's for everybody. They may even come up with the modalities. Maybe it may be cash and carry or it could be on mortgage basis, but it's for all.
The beneficiary of these houses, the general public, everybody is entitled. No matter it's not for civil servant alone. Everybody is entitled, and the guidelines we will be out very soon on how to acquire one.
The first phase of the project has 76 units of 3, 2 and 1 bedroom apartments. The project is now at 90% completion. The public is expected to have access to it, irrespective of status as a civil servant or not, as long as one has a regular and identifiable income. It also has an option of rent to earn as part of measures to ensure that all Nigerians have access to it.
As part of efforts aimed at enhancing the accessibility of the National Housing Program houses all over the country, the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria has launched a rent-to-own scheme which will only cover houses with a value not more than 15 million naira and an annual interest rate of 9%, which can be spread over 30 years as rent on the house. Other measures put in place by the federal government to ensure accessibility to affordable houses is the release of 9 billion naira for workers to have access to the 3,000 units of the National Housing Program now available in the first phase before massive construction of more of such houses all over the country. Tweet to us at Infra_Weekly and send your views, comments and feedback to us via Infrastructure Weekly on Facebook. Join us after this break for a look at the transmission expansion program of the federal government. Don't go away.
Coming together of opportunities, and this is what
Infrastructure is the backbone of development, which explains the Buhari government's effort at bridging the facility gap. Infrastructure Weekly is a television package designed to bring you latest information on hundreds of development projects going on in various sectors all over the nation.
there is no state in Nigeria today where you will not see our contractors busy at work.
Power generation, rural electrification, road rehabilitations, national housing scheme, construction of roads and rail lines across the country, you name it.
We are now able to produce 7,000 megawatt of power. That is no longer debatable.
Infrastructure Weekly is Nigerians working together for a better Nigeria. So be better informed to take better informed decisions. Watch Infrastructure Weekly, showing on Channels Television Thursdays 2:30 p.m., NTA Network Wednesdays 5 p.m., and Core TV News Fridays at 8 p.m. Infrastructure Weekly, making development known.
When the Ministry of Power, Works and Housing announced early in the year its intention to expand the nation's transmission grid with the commissioning of over 100 projects in the transmission leg of the power value chain to enhance supply, Nigerians were skeptical. But now, after 9 months, the decision is yielding fruit. We'll present to you in this package a look at some of the successes since the announcement of the move to expand the grid.
When earlier in the year, the federal government declared its intention to expand the nation's transmission grid from the then less than 5,000 megawatts to over 10,000 megawatts through the coming on stream of over 100 projects in the transmission leg of the power value chain, many wondered if this is not another case of empty promises. But now, with the year in its last quarter, the nation can stand tall and be proud of its achievements so far. From Odogunyan in Ikorodu to Yola in Adamawa to Jebode in Ogun State and the Niger Delta projects in the transmission leg of the power value chain, power infrastructure has continued to come on stream. Thus, according to the Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, will continue to be the case to enhance the nation's productivity and continue on the path to sustainable national development.
Today, we have the capacity to produce 7,000. What is happening is that not all the power plants are releasing their capacity. So the control center is telling power A, okay, we know you have 100, but you can only put on 50. Power B, put on 40 of your 80, because there is no offtake at the distribution end. So that's the new issue. We have a new problem from not enough power to how do we sell what we have. And 1,000 more is coming.
The minister, who was speaking on the strides of the Buhari administration in the power, works and housing sector, said the nation is on a journey to uninterrupted power and called on all Nigerians to be patient but also to do more to protect public utilities. He said what the government has done is a promise to do more than it has achieved in the sector.
Ask yourself honestly, are you buying more diesel today than in 2015 for power? You say what? Are you buying more diesel or less diesel? Are you running your generators for longer or for shorter? So clearly it is getting better. The vociferousness with which you complain is the same vociferousness I like you to admit. Is it getting better or not? And that's all. Let's just honestly admit, so that we know that we can also know that we are on the right track and go and do more. But if you don't loudly tell us that it's getting better, we may not be sure. You know, it's like if you go to the doctor and they say, are you feeling better? You are not sure. But if he brings out the injection, then you say, no, I'm feeling better. So we need to know whether, so thank you.
For those driving the sector, it is one that will be taken to its logical conclusion with the delivery of all projects.
Transmission has been scattered, distribution is not working, and generation is not working. Generation was only about 3,500, transmission was 5,500, and distribution was also about 3,000. As at today, as at December, when the last simulation was done, TCN transmission had a capacity of 7,124. And after that, we have added so many other substations. And generation was 7,000 megawatts, and distribution, if you look at last time we had a peak, distribution was 5,224. So that's tell you how the minister has transformed the sector.
Some of the projects currently going on in its home stretch is the Ikorodu-Shagamu 2x132 kVA transmission line, which will help bring stability not only to Shagamu and the Ikorodu axis of Lagos and Ogun states, but to the Ijebode Redemption Camp, Mowe Ibafo, and the Aja axis in both Lagos and Ogun states. This project, according to the Assistant General Manager, Transmission of the Ebun Zone of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, will help bring a lot of things to the table and improve on power supply to the areas.
We have capacity to be on 2 circuits from Shagamu to Ikorodu substation. It's going to increase our capacity, flexibility, in the sense that when one line goes off, the other won't take over. The capacity is in form of the old line is reconductor to carry 90 MVA, but the single line of this new construction is going to be 126 MVA. So we have capacity we call 2x126 MVA, which is going to be 254.
He added that the project, when it comes on stream, will double the capacity and enhance stability of supply to its customers in the axis.
The community will enjoy better supply. If we have been able to give them supply before, let me put it at 75%, it can go up to 90%, 95%. We cannot achieve 100, but it can go up to 95. In the sense that now, when we lose a line, the whole axis is in darkness. It can't be so again. When we lose one line, we can change to it's only the consumption that we will ask people to reduce, not that they will be in total blackout.
For his part, the project manager of the contracting firm said the project has now reached advanced stage that will soon require the shutting down of some customers.
We are changing the old line, the existing old line, with replacing it with double circuit line on the lattice towers and tubular monopoles. As I said, the entire line has 44 kilometers. As it is now, the completion of this line is around 70%.
He, however, promised to deliver a good job that will stand the test of time.
Actually, now we are working on the erection and the stringing of the conductor from Ikorodu, from Shagamu towards Ikorodu. This line is feeding a substation at Odogonian and another 8 companies. steel company's cement factory, which is behind us here. The existing line was 132 kV line, single circuit. Now we are doing this 132 double circuit, which will increase the energy on this one and the power to supply.
Other projects that have come on stream in the past few weeks as part of the accelerated development and expansion of the national grid are the expansion of the Alagbon transmission station, as well as the regeneration of some of its transformers and the installation of a geographical information system at the transmission station, the Kubwa transmission station in Abuja, Ijebode transmission station, and others. While those in Mowe Redemption Camp will complement the Ikorodu Shagamu 2x132 kVA lines, the 2 in Ibadan and 4 others in the Okeogun axis of Oyo State will also come on stream in the coming weeks. All in all, the accelerated development and expansion of the transmission grid all over Nigeria is now at an advanced stage, and the end of the year promises a tale of better, stable, and enhanced electricity supply to all Nigerians.
Thanks so much for staying with us. That will be all on this week's episode of the program. Join us again next week for another educative and enlightening episode of Infrastructure Weekly. Until then, pay your tax and take ownership of public utilities around you. I am Abosede Omowie. Bye for now.